Do you like wood? Are you a wood enjoyer? How much wood do you enjoy? Do you enjoy this much wood? This much wood? This much wood? I enjoy this much wood. What we are looking at is the Gwŷdd, which, if there are any Welsh speakers in the comments, let me know how I butchered that. It is a 65% all wood keyboard case with a 9-degree typing angle. It is made out of thermally modified acacia confusa, which is basically just Taiwanese acacia. It's a nice gasket mount board, very lightweight, very comfortable. It's made out of wood. That's it. It comes in one color, wood, though there are some special editions that include resin and whatnot, but traditionally it comes in acacia. You have some plate options, but basically it's a wood board. It's wood. You're gonna get it. It's gonna be wood, and the price point should be right around $380 at about 100 units, which for a nice 2-piece gasket mount wooden board, it's not so bad. So anyway, let's roll the intro and get into it. As is customary, here's our lovely keyboard. And before we get to even touch it, let's talk about our disclosures. As always, this board was sent to me for free, but I do not get to keep it for free. I have to either send it back or pay in full to keep this keyboard, as is the case with every other review on this channel. Now, this is made by James and Rafflesore, who are both long-term friends of the channel. That doesn't necessarily help them in any way, but James is a real-life friend as well, so like, you know, if he's in town, he's invited to my house and we have some drinks and hang out. Then again, I do have an open invitation to pretty much anybody that is in town and DMs me. I don't think I've ever turned anyone down, so keep that in mind. And the final disclosure is that James is a patron of the dad tier. Okay, so that means James does support this channel financially, though, I mean, is that going to bias me? No, because James is a good friend and I wouldn't do him the dishonesty of, you know, lying to his face. If something is bad, I'm going to tell him it's bad. I did have some involvement with the general creation of this board, just in terms of product viability, looking at mounts, looking at stuff like that. So this is something I've had my eyes on many months before it was at my door, so I was quite familiar with the project because I really liked the idea, because I think the idea is great. So enough of the boring stuff. Let's talk about the not boring stuff. So let's start first with the unboxing experience. This keyboard comes in a hard case. Good. It's a very, very thick hard case. And the reason is it has space for your wrist rest, which is included in the keyboard kit, and your keyboard. There we go. They both fit in there real nice. You got space in there. In addition to this, you get a soft carry case. Look at that. You can put your board in there. And it all zips up. And it's got a very good carry handle. This is probably one of the nicer carry handles I've seen. It does do the slightly stupid thing where the zippers go the wrong way. So the way that it opens is the opposite of the way that you hold it. So theoretically, if you were really stupid and didn't zip it up, when it flopped open, everything would fall out. Then again, I'm pretty sure that would happen even if the zipper was on the other side and you were an idiot. So it is what it is. In here, I've got a whole bunch of plates, but let's have a look at the keyboard itself. Now, if we're going to talk about wood boards, we have to talk about the history of wood boards. We have to talk about how wood boards have been kind of perceived in this hobby. Now, I'm an old timer, okay? I'm an old man. So when I think wood boards, I think tray mount 60% cases that were available for, not so much money, and realistically was not a good typing experience, both for feel and for sound. And wood being wood does struggle from wood things. So I'm something of a wood enjoyer myself. Now, if you know anything about wood, you know that wood has to rest. Wood has to acclimate to its surroundings. So theoretically, let's say you wanted to make a keyboard that was a two-piece with a top and a bottom that fit flush together. How do you do that and guarantee that it's still going to fit together months later when it's in a completely different environment? So that was the concern previously. The concern has been remedied. The concern has been remedied. So the first thing we'll do is we're actually going to take a in-depth look at all of the seams. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the age of this board from end of manufacturing to right now should be around about 5 months. So that is more than enough time for wood to warp, get more humid, get less humid, shrink, grow, twist, all the things that wood loves to do. So here's our board, and we're going to start on this seam. Can you even see the seam? I mean, you can see my dirty ass fingerprints. You can see the seam, but you can see that the seam is flush. If we look at the alignment of the back and of the front, we see that it sits basically as flush as an aluminum keyboard. Let's have a look at the front. Is that a stain? That might be a stain. So that might be something from the wood itself. Wood being wood has little things like this and stripes and grain and all that goodness. So what we're looking for is gaps. What we're looking for is some sort of warping between the top and bottom. But that is a very clean seam all the way around. And let's look at the opposite side. Here we are. Again, the seam is so clean, I can't even feel it with my finger. And the back is well aligned, front is well aligned. One thing we do see here is a little bit of pitting, which wood is wood. Wood has little micro holes in it, so there's nothing you can really do about that. And finally the back, nice and clean. Here we can see the color mismatch because again, it is a piece of wood, but the seam is very clean. Now, another thing that generally you worry about when it comes to CNCing wood, because this is CNC'd, is you're looking out for any tears, any splintering, anything weird like that. And one of the best places to check for that is in complex angles like this. I know it doesn't seem complex on paper, but machining wood is kind of hard. So, no sharp edges. No weirdness, looks all good to me. And here again, we can see the texture of that wood going all in different directions, which is quite cool. If we look very closely, we can see here, there's a tiny little pit. So I presume that's from the wood itself. So that's the only reason why the top and bottom are not sitting completely flush where that hole is. But that's what you get with a wood board. And the bottom, so on the bottom, we do see some stretching slash pitting right here. Kind of hard to pick up on camera. It's not super deep, but again, it is wood. Wood is going to look like wood. Okay, let's have a look at our screw taps. They look clean. This one right there, yeah, that has a tiny bit of a tear in it. It's not bad. Keep in mind, this is on a macro cam, but things like this can happen. That one looks clean. That one looks clean. Let's have a look at the top. Yep, that looks clean. That one, little bit of a tear, tiny bit. Same with that one. To be fair, this could have been done by me while I put this screws in. Unclear. Like, that's how minor it is. I am not sure. But it all looks great. The wrist rest, by the way, is just a singular piece of wood. It's very nice. It's got an engraving here on the top right side and some gunk that got in there, because that's what happens when you have an engraving that isn't infilled. My hands are very sweaty, but thankfully, wood is just going to absorb my lovely sweat. Look at all those sweat marks. Oh yeah. I hope this is real immersive for everyone. There's no protections on the, here, I'll show you on this view. There's no protections on this side of the wood to keep you from smacking it against your keyboard, because again, it's wood. It's not like you're slapping metal together, so it's all good. All right. Whilst we're looking at the outside, before we get into the inside, I do want to show you this very cute little front lip that we've got here. So it's a tiny little chamfer right there. And it's clean all the way across the board. I think it looks nice. It matches up perfectly with the wrist rest, which, yeah, it's good looking. It's a good looking board. It's a good looking board. Now, the general other fear of wood is any sort of assembly component where, let's say, you need to have screw threads, inserts, stuff like that. So these are things that traditionally we'll see on the inside of a wooden board. Generally, the inside of a wooden board does not look good. Historically, has not looked good. So let's open this up real quick. Have a look inside. That is too small. That is too big. That is just right. The threads feel very clean. Then again, these are threaded inserts. I presume they're brass. We'll have a peek once we're inside, but that is generally how we do it. Now, what makes this wood so special, the fact that this wood has survived for so long and not like gotten weirdly shaped or bent or anything of the sort, is because this wood is thermally modified. Now, like I said, I'm something of a wood enjoyer myself, so if you don't know what thermal modification means, I'll explain it to you. So first, the thermal modification wizards will show up to the premises, and as is tradition, we must honor them with boiled eggs placed on pillows. Once the ceremony begins, I believe what they do is they all pull out their Wilba thermals and just start smacking on the wood as hard as they can. And what it does is it scares all the water out of the wood. That way, it's not really going to warp or stretch anymore. And it also seals it in such a way that water doesn't really want to get in like it would naturally. So after the wizards have finished thermaling the piece of wood, it's customary for them, of course, to have a cup of tea before heading on to their next one. All right, here we are. Now let's look at the top case first, where we can absolutely see those threaded inserts right there. Camera, hello. There we go. Yep, those do indeed look like brass. I can see a little bit of machining marks here on the inside. It's nothing major, but these all look well seated. So these are held in with wood glue, I presume. Wood glue is very strong. It literally keeps tables and desks and houses together, so don't worry about it. But yeah, nice and clean. Another thing we can see is there is a shallow, come on camera, there is a shallow cut right here to allow space for the plate to sit. And that is incredibly shallow of a cut, if you can see here. There you go. You see that? And the fact that that's done without blowing out any of the wood is kind of, excuse me, it's kind of amazing. All right, so I do not have any gaskets on the top because I'm using a thick polycarbonate plate, which is an amazing sounding plate in this particular build. Depending on the plate that you have, you may or may not need gaskets on both the bottom and the top of the plate. In this case, it's bottom only. Let's pop this off. We can see that we got ourselves a daughter board. I'm gonna remove that. There we go. And let's have a look at the bottom. Let's get in there. So just right off the bat, there is a blowout here where, again, if you're trying to machine something this complex, it happens. This is on the inside of the board. Now, remember how I said that generally the inside of wood boards do not look good. This looks amazing. There's a groove. So the lowest part is right here. And then this slopes down and this slopes down. I'll show you on the other camera. And there are internal engravings. And these units are numbered, which is cool, I guess. I mean, I, for one, like numbering. Some people don't like numbering. But all the machining here looks very clean. No crazy sharp edges, no weirdness. A little bit of tearing here, but not a big deal. Like that, like here's my thumb for scale. And also it's on the inside of the board, so it looks pretty good. So here we can see it is grown, designed, and machined in, I know where that is. That's in Taiwan. So this is Taiwanese acacia. This is Taiwanese acacia that is thermally modified, machined, made all in Taiwan, which is cool. It's very nice to see somebody take a local wood and produce something entirely locally. I did promise you that we were going to take a look at that blowout on the macro cam. All right, let's have ourselves a quick look. There we go. It's not too bad. Again, when you're working with wood, there's not much you can do. There's not much you can do unless you want to have like a 99% QC failure rate. For the price that this is probably the best wood board that you can get. Also, check out that nice faux koala side. I don't know, I like stroking it. It feels good. The board smells wondrous. It smells great. So when I first got it, it smelled of linseed oil. So after the entire process, it is treated with linseed oil. If I'm not mistaken, there are no stains, there are no dyes. This is the color of the wood, essentially. And that linseed oil smells so good. But now that it's been a while and I sniff it, it just smells like wood. It smells really nice. Like, it's a really nice smell. Now, for reference, I got this board quite a ways before I got the Cycle 8. And I got the Cycle 8 and reviewed that and still had this on my desk up until now. And to be fair, this will remain on my desk. It's that nice. All right, let's do a quick PCB plate, all of that. Here we have a PCB. You can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 LEDs in there. And the reason why they're in there is because they're not supposed to be. I don't think the final version has the LEDs. But if it does, you can be a subdued gamer inside. They'll never know. It uses an RP controller. You guys know my standpoint on RPs instead of using ATmega 32Us, but 'tis what it is. PCB looks nice. Simple. Not an issue at all. I have been told that the production version will have a bottom-mounted reset switch for switching into bootloader if you need it, which is nice. It is what it is. The nice thing about the RP series, if you're trying to like flash a keyboard, is you can hit a toggle, plug it in, and it'll literally show up as a mass storage device like a USB key on your computer, and you can just drop the hex in there. It's very convenient. So that's great. We've got ourselves a polycarbonate plate, which I actually need to look up. Yeah, it's 3 mil. It is a 3 mil polycarbonate plate. It's a thick boy. It's a thick boy. Now, if any of you are scientists like me, you know that a 3 mil polycarbonate plate, or basically 3 millimeter of any sort of plastic plate, is going to sound really nice and deep, which this indeed does. There are other options. There's carbon fiber at a standard thickness of 1.5 mil, which, and then aluminum, of course. I, for one, love the polycarb plate because of how it really ties the build together. It makes the build really special. Whilst we're here, yes, this is a typical gasket mount. We can see there are tabs 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2. That means there is no gasket mount tab under the spacebar. Is that really helping anything with a 3 millimeter plate? No, it's not. Maybe it is a teensy bit, like the teensiest bit in the universe. You can see that this droops down a little bit lower than it would otherwise. So yeah, good on them for choosing not to put a mount point there, even though it's gasket. Generally with gasket, you can get away with just putting mounts everywhere, because with a gasket, you're not going for flex, you're going for bounce, which means uniform up and down motion of the entire board. But sometimes you can sneak in a little flex in there too, and that's nice. All right, let's see. Are we missing anything here? We're really not. We're really not. We can talk about our usual stuff. We can talk about our build recommendations. We can talk about all the good stuff, and then we can do a lovely, lovely sound test. One thing to note is, I don't know if you guys can notice in the video or have noticed in the video, I had an issue with my enter key. Stabilizers conflicting with the plate. They've already changed the plate files, even though I was literally the only person in the world that had that issue. What I'm trying to say is I have skill issue and built this poorly. So yeah, so my enter key might sound a little weird, and to be fair, I'm too lazy to fix it. All right, so as we close this back up, is that sitting flush? Yep, that's all sitting flush. We flush arenas. Okay. Actually, why are you weird? Oh, there's a little piece of gasket from me putting the gasket on crooked. All right, well, we can fix that. There we go. Yep, all clean, all flush, all smelling delicious. Now, wooden boards thus far have been kind of a disappointment. And when the initial idea was pitched to me, I had all the concerns about, what are you going to do about the warping? What are you going to do about humidity? What are you going to do about, I don't know, the machinability of wood? Thankfully, acacia is a decently hard wood. I don't know if it qualifies as a hardwood or not a hardwood, but it's a hard wood, okay? Which has its pros and cons. Like with a softer wood, you actually might have more issues machining it than you would otherwise. Because a softer wood, you're going to be able to just like rip out pieces of the wood that you're not trying to rip off. And then with way harder woods, you end up dealing with the same issues that you would with metals, which is chipping. But in this case, I think they struck a very, very nice balance. Doing something thermally modified, which I think is not only thermal, but also pressure, is kind of amazing, because although this was made in Taiwan, this was sent to me in one of the most hot, humid countries in the world, when it probably sat in a warehouse and in a delivery truck, and then entered my home, which is a set 45 to 50% humidity at 18 to 22 degrees Celsius. In Imperial, that's 76 to 1,874 fathoms. And it survived just fine. It turned out, honestly, kind of great. It's a good looking board. I'm not going to waste more time. Build recommendations. Literally put whatever the hell you want in this. It's going to sound amazing no matter what. Historically, wood boards have sounded really bad. This sounds great. Maybe it's the 3mm plate pulling double duty and really helping out, in which case absolutely go for the 3mm plate. You can pick your default plate and you can get extras if you want, but definitely go with the 3mm polycarbonate. It makes the wood board sound so woody. And may I remind you that this thing has been on my desk non-stop. I have access to all sorts of keyboards, and yet I just keep using this because it's comfy. It's made out of wood. The wrist rest is wood. I can put my hands on it. It sounds good. It makes me happy, and it smells delicious. So you want to go Cherry MX, go for it. You want to go with blacks or reds or whatever. You want to go with Milky Top Gats, go for it. If I'm not mistaken, what is in here? I don't even know what's in here. Yeah, of course, it's GAT-X. It's Gateron X. Now, Gateron X are not deep-sounding switches. They're relatively high-sounding switches for Milky Top Gaterons. But once you hear this board, you're going to be kind of shocked. That's why I say you can literally put anything in here and it'll sound good, as long as you get the 3mm plate. This is lovely. Let's do a quick typing test. Then I'll give you my summary. And then, I don't know, you can go buy a wooden board. Hello, welcome to my summary. This video was shorter than usual, so you should absolutely watch the whole video. The Gwŷdd is a very, very, very nice keyboard. I thoroughly enjoy it. Doing wood right is something that, in my opinion, has not been done before. But now it has. We have access to a wonderful smelling, wonderful feeling, and wonderful sounding 65%. A lightweight 65%. Are you in the market for a lightweight 65%? Here you go. Are you in the market for a nice wood board that's just made out of wood with no nonsense? No problems. I can't stop sniffing it. I need an adult. This is a very, very nice board. You'll see that its sound profile is nice and deep. You put this on a desk mat, it's going to sound excellent. What will I be doing with this unit? I will be paying in full to keep this. This board is great. And, you know, although I haven't had money recently, thankfully, the person that sent me this board technically owes me money. So I'm going to do a little trade-areno. And I've got myself a lovely wooden board. Now, at the price point, okay, 380 bucks for a two-piece wood, 65% gasket mount with wrist rest, with little Geon feet, with a carrying case, with all of that, numbered, made with love and care. Can you truly beat it? Can you truly beat it? Like, is it the 65% for everyone? No. Is it a 65% for people that have wanted a good board but have known that wooden keyboards have kind of been the past 10 years? Here you go. good wood, the best wood. Buy wood. Link in the description. Not affiliated. No sponsors. If you want to support this channel, there's a Patreon over there. I'll see you guys in the next video.